Hello, beautiful people. How are you? I love asking that question even though you can't answer, but what I'm really doing is I'm asking you to get in touch with me and tell me. I love hearing how you're doing, especially during this period of the year. I think it's a really interesting time for people to just understand what it's like to have a bit more space and time around, because we're at the sort of Christmas, New Year's end of the year. It's actually almost all of our children, almost all of our children's birthdays are in December. One is in August. So it's a very celebratory period for us. And it does shift focus for me, which I really like. Don't you love it when there's those moments in life where you just naturally have to shift focus? I think it's a really beautiful opportunity to think differently about things. And that's definitely one of my favourite things to do. This episode is titled, Never Underestimate the Value of What You're Doing. The reason I called it this is because I was listening to a beautiful marketing lady. Actually, she runs a company called We Are Content. Her name is Michelle Falzon. And shout out to Michelle. I loved something she mentioned in a presentation of hers that I was watching, where she said, never underestimate the value of what you're doing. Now, I'm not sure why I love this so much, but I think particularly for women and mothers who are doing a lot of what they do on their own or perhaps unseen, there's so much behind the scenes stuff that mothers do that is just kind of not witnessed. You know, maybe you're doing it for children, partners, elderly relatives, whoever it is that you're caring for. And I'm not saying we're the only people who do caring. Of course, I'm not saying that, but these are the people I speak to because these are the people that I understand. And as a mother myself, I would say that I'm very fortunate to have a partner who I can speak with and I can, share things that I've done and even ask for recognition when I need it, if that's something that I need. And he's really good at doing that. But it hasn't always been that way for me. I've often, in different parts of my life, felt differently to that. I've felt that the things that I've been doing have not been seen. And it's a very difficult thing at times to be pouring your heart out and using your energy, your intention, your care, your love to better those around you and not be seen or not be recognised. Now, I will say that I've had this experience recently, and I know I've spoken about it before, so I won't go into it too much, but it was a real seminal experience where my son asked me what I used to do when it was just him and I, what work that I did at that time. And when he heard, he was visibly moved, and he's continued to recognise that in comments and just small acknowledgements that he's made since we had that conversation, where he clearly has understood that I did a lot for him and for a greater vision for us as a family when it was just the two of us. And that's why I can say never underestimate the value of what you're doing and really mean it. Here's the thing though, right? Sometimes we're not very good at receiving even our own acknowledgement of what we do. And what I mean by that is that a lot of our conditioning, I think, plays into this idea that we should be humble and play down what we're doing and not cheer ourselves on, not celebrate our wins, not speak highly of ourselves, not think highly of ourselves even sometimes. And that can be a little bit of a vicious cycle. And what I found in the past is that I have almost felt that sort of internalized tall poppy syndrome where you do something, you feel really good about it, and you kind of switch that good feeling off. And you switch it off because we don't always feel like we're entitled. We're sort of sometimes better at feeling shame, guilt, and self-deprecating humour and putting ourselves down and being self-critical than we are at big-upping ourselves and celebrating the things we do well and accepting others complimenting us. I mean, how often has somebody said to you, wow, you look really good today. I love that dress. And you say, oh, it's just a little, I picked it up for $3 in an op shop or something like that, where you kind of deflect and reduce the sentiment in order to kind of, just out of habit, even unconsciously or subconsciously, not really able to accept or receive the compliment. And I remember at one point I used to do a lot of actual charity shopping and opportunity shopping, and secondhand clothing was kind of something I often wore. And most often people would compliment those clothes, the clothes that are one-offs and that are a bit unique and that were really cheap but were great finds. And I would almost every time go, oh yeah, I love it, but it's just a blah, 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 and put myself down or reduce the compliment down to something that I could accept. But there's this other kind of concept that I want to bring in, which is that you must never interrupt someone who is giving you a compliment. So if somebody is saying something nice to you, take a beat. Pause and take it in. Like, let yourself feel that. And even now, when I say never underestimate the value of what you're doing, I want you to take that in and really think, what are the things I have done in service of a greater value or a greater concept or a greater vision for myself or my family today? What are those things? And you may never know the value of those things to those around you. I mean, in my experience, the most powerful and enduring things I have given to people involve my time, my attention, and my words. And often, in fact, almost every time that I've had an impact on a person, I've not been aware of that at the time. So it follows that you must never underestimate the value of what you're doing in any given moment. I've had women come to me, 5 years after I said something in a small social post online when I was running Mums in Bath, for example. I had a Mums in Bath group, and, there were thousands of women in that group, but I wasn't ever thinking about that. And so I would write things and I would do that just from the heart. And for years since then, I've had women send me messages, ask after me, and mention that something that I said stayed with them. Perhaps I said something like this, and it stayed with them. Not only did it stay with them, but it gave them permission to have a feeling or have an experience in a certain way. And I do find it interesting that we almost need other people to do that for us sometimes. And that's what I'm hoping to do for you today with this podcast, is I really want you to take this idea that what you're doing has value and run with it. And really try to embed that in your consciousness. Try to embed it in the way that you think, in a way that stays with you. Because when we are able to see the value of what we are doing, we are also more likely to be able to see the value of what others are doing and acknowledge them for that too. And when we kind of move into this attitude of gratitude and service, we change our frequency. We leave the doldrums of self-criticism and judgment of others, and we start to escalate ourselves in a way that is very healthy and helpful. So what I really want to do today, and it's just a quick one today, is say, never underestimate the value of what you're doing, no matter what it is. What you are and who you are and how you approach your life has value. That's it. So please take that into your day. I hope that in some way that gives you an elevation of energy, an acknowledgement of the value of you as a person who exists in the world. And that's it. I want to be your greatest cheerleader. And thank you for listening. Okay, bye for now.